Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It gives me immense joy and pleasure to welcome you all to this open session of Insights IAS Essay Edge course. You are all gathered here to learn the power of words and the art of expressing your thoughts in order to write creative, persuasive and impactful essays to score well in your UPSC mains examination either this year or for the next year. Essay writing, it is a timeless craft because essay is nothing but a collection of words. Am I right? And words are powerful. Words are powerful enough to transcend barriers, to connect people and to bring about change. For example, we have the famous words from the Gwalior Tank Maidan. What happened in Gwalior Tank Maidan? Yes? Do or die. The Mahatma Gandhiji's do or die speech. It created a revolution in Quit India movement, and that became one of the reasons for India's independence. Or Dr. Martin Luther King's the famous I Have a Dream speech. In that speech, where he highlighted the racial segregation and racial discrimination, became a weapon against it and sent a message for racial equality in United States of America. The power of words is equally manifested in Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation. In the middle of a civil war between the North American states and the South American states, Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, where with a single stroke of pen, thousands of slaves who were enslaved for generations were freed. And this had a huge and a profound impact on the Civil War and its outcome. Or you can take the example of Nelson Mandela's first speech as the President of South Africa. After his jail, after the apartheid is over, Nelson Mandela's speech, his first speech as the President of South Africa. Now many communities, especially the whites, will be afraid that now a person of a colored race is the president. What will happen to them? Will he be vengeful? Will he be revengeful? And Nelson Mandela spoke about compassion, spoke about forgiveness, and this message of compassion and forgiveness built bridges between the communities which had been discriminated and separated by societal barriers. Or to speak of power of words, you can take the example of Mark Antony's speech at the funeral of Julius Caesar. When Caesar was assassinated by the conspirators, many of the Roman citizens were of the opinion that they did a good thing for Rome. But at the funeral speech, Mark Antony's famous words, "My dear friends, Romans and citizens, lend me your ears. Lend me your ears. I am here not to praise Caesar, but to bury him." It is a quite elaborate speech, but these are the first two lines. But this power of words changed the tide of the people's opinion, the Roman citizens' opinion against the conspirators, and also the ensuing civil war in Rome. The perception of Romans was changed just by the power of words. So that's why words are powerful and essay is made up of words. Now, essay writing allows us to dwell deep into our thoughts, depths of our thoughts, then to generate new ideas and develop new perspectives and to express them effectively and exactly. And this is precisely why you are all here today, to hone your skills as UPSC essayists, I would say, okay, or aspirants or UPSC essayists. Now, whether you are a seasoned writer who has written a lot of essays, or whether you have just recently started your essay writing journey. In today's session, we are going to discuss certain techniques, tips, tricks, and I will give certain insights into ensuring that you are skilled enough, learn a little bit, and use these techniques, tips, and insights to craft persuasive and effective essays. And along with us, my mentee from 2021 batch, Damini, who will shortly be IAS, will also share her tips and tricks with respect to her essay strategy, for which she got a very good score of 130 in 2022 mains exam. Can we have a big round of applause? Okay. So without much further ado, we'll begin with the orientation. Okay. After the orientation is done, okay, she will share her strategy. She will share a detailed strategy that enabled her to get one of the highest marks in the country, okay, this year's in 2022 mains. And after that, we'll discuss her detailed UPSC strategy with respect to prelims, mains, and interview. And then we'll have the Q&A session where you can ask her any doubts you have with respect to essay writing or the strategy. That will be the agenda for this session. So, shall we begin? Yes. Now you all are aware of importance of essay, right? Yes, 250 marks. Now why is this 250 marks very important is, I'll be put it very simply, put it very bluntly. Many people have cleared this exam, okay, just because they have scored a very good score in essay and good enough, decent enough, or little above average scores in GS 1, 2, 3 and 4 and their optionals. So essay can also play a very important part in you getting a very good rank and also obviously a desired service and you writing mains again. Now not that it is a very important subject. Essay writing, it is basically a skill. It is not a test of your knowledge like your GS 1, 2, 3 and to an extent GS 4 or your optional. It is basically a skill. As I was saying in the introduction, like, it's a timeless craft. We have been writing since ages. Once the script was developed, there was no stopping us. We have been writing since ages. UPSC asks you to write, but there is no defined syllabus, right? UPSC never mentions the syllabus for essay. Though we use GS 1, 2, 3 and 4 only to write our essays. Okay, we'll come to that in a while. But there is no prescribed syllabus per se for your essays. So that means you need to develop this skill. How do you develop the skill? Like any other skill, you have to practice it. While practicing it, it takes a minimum amount of time and the returns can be very huge in your mains examination. It does not mean that you have to study it on a daily basis, daily investing 2 hours, 3 hours. Even if you are practicing it weekly, okay, so that is more than enough to master this art of crafting effective and very persuasive essays. Now one thing you have to remember here is, it is all about practice when it comes to essay writing. Minimum amount of time and the returns can be maximum. And since there is no proper defined syllabus, you can use content from your life experiences, from the knowledge that you have accumulated over the years, starting from your childhood up until your graduation, from your current affairs, from your subjects, what you study in this class. Anything that fits within the scope of the topic that can be used to write an essay. That's the beauty of it. It's just that it should naturally meet the demand of the topic. You cannot just fill anything for 12 to 13 pages and expect to get a good marks. You have to generate relevant content. So the importance here lies that, with minimal amount of time, you can get very good returns in your mains examination when it comes to your essays. Just practice it adequately and it will give you the returns. You don't have to study day in and day out as we do and invest for GS subjects and optional. those have to be studied day in and day out. Yes, because there is a lot of content to be remembered, and rightly so. But with essay, with minimal amount of time, you can maximum amount of returns. Now, you all know what are the current trends in essay, right? Till 2021, okay, till 2020 mains, part A or part B would be technical essays. Technical essays where the topic is chosen from your GS 1, 2 and 3, either polity or governance or history or your international relations, science and technology. And part B were philosophical type of essays where a quote would be given, where you have to understand the quote and write an essay for that. Now, technical essays are relatively easier to write. I will tell you why. Philosophical essays are a little bit challenging. That also I will tell you just in a while. Now, in 2021, when aspirants went to write their first mains paper, first mains is their essay, they were in for a surprise. As I always say, the only time you should be surprised in a UPSC exam is if there are no surprises. Day 1 itself, UPSC has prepared surprise where all 8 topics were philosophical in nature. That was Damini's first mains as well, right? So, surprisingly, all 8 topics were philosophical in nature. Generally, what aspirants used to do was, since technical essays are relatively easier to write, they used to depend more on scoring very good in technical essays and an average or slightly above average score in philosophical essays. And those people who were dependent on technical essays suffered immensely in 2021 mains. The trend continued in 2022 where all the 8 topics were philosophical in nature, and I expect it to continue for another 2 to 3 years. Now, just to give you an example why technical essays are easy, I have picked certain technical essays from previous year. Now, when the technical essay is given, it's binary to choose the topic. Binary means either you know the topic or you do not know the topic. No, let's say the social justice, if you have studied, you know the topic or you do not know the topic. So, it's very relatively easier to pick the topic for technical essays. Out of the 4 topics that will be given, you will choose the topic where you have the most content. No brainer. Okay, the topic which you have the most amount of content, you are going to pick the topic and write an essay. And how will you write the essay? You will identify the key words that are there in this essay topic and you are going to write an essay based on that keywords. As simple as that. You will elaborate it in various dimensions and write. So, why don't you guys help me identify the keywords in this topic. Okay, let's see if you at all, if a technical essay is given in the future, if you will be able to identify the keywords. Okay, topic number 1, which are the keywords? Very good. Social justice, then economic prosperity, then same. Economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. So, there can be no social justice without economic prosperity, and then it's opposite, but economic prosperity without social justice is meaningless. Okay, so this is the topic which connects social justice with economic prosperity. Simply put, economic growth and economic development with a special emphasis on social justice. Next, patriarchy is the keyword here. Then it is least noticed but most significant structure of social inequality. These are like your GS2 society parts. Here, bias media, threat to democracy. Okay, bias media, threat to democracy. The next topic, artificial intelligence, jobless future or better job opportunities. So, artificial intelligence, jobless future or better job opportunities. Next, poverty and threat to prosperity. Next, new economic measures on fiscal ties between union and states in India. That is nothing but your federalism. Okay. Next, destiny of nation in a classroom. So, basically they are talking about the education aspect. Next, relevance of non-aligned movement. So, now when the topics are like this, so whoever, let's say if your optional is PSIR, which optional generally will be choosing? probably with respect to option number 8. If your optional is sociology, you either will go with option number 1 or 2, right? If your optional is PubAd, you may choose with respect to 6 or 3. So based on your optional strengths or your GS proficiency, you will choose a topic when it comes to technical essays, and you will identify the keywords and write that essay in various dimensions. Coming to the philosophical essays. Yeah. So tell me the keywords in topic number 1. Yeah. Ship, harbor, safe. That is not what a ship is for. 2022 essay. Okay. Or see, some Nityananda type of quote is also there. Okay. Your perception of me is a reflection of you. My reaction to you is an awareness of me. So some topics like this. So what is the keyword here? Perception, reflection, reaction, awareness. Or go to topic number 3. Ships do not sink because of water around them. Ships sinks because of water that gets into them. What are the keywords? Why are you guys so silent? Here you are all giving me all the keywords instantly in a pit stop. But what happened here? Now you are understanding why it is difficult to craft a philosophical essay. Now take this one is relatively easier. Courage to accept, dedication to improve are 2 keys to success. You may be thinking courage to accept and dedication to improve are keywords. They are, but there is much more to this essay, because you are going to miss this point, 2 keys to success. Okay, you may think, oh, courage to accept, dedication to improve, and you will write entire essay about courage to accept and dedication to improve, but you are going to miss this keyword here, that is 2 keys to success. And people that values its privileges over its principle loses is both. Again a philosophical essay. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude. Now the thing is, you cannot cherry pick keywords when it comes to philosophical essays. Here it's not about picking the keywords. There may be 1 or 2 keywords there, but when it comes to philosophical essays, it is about understanding the meaning behind the quote that has been given. Without understanding the meaning behind the quote, you are not getting a very good score in this essay, no matter which you take, especially if you do not understand the quote or miss the quote. You need to understand, every quote will have a meaning behind it, the gist of the quote, highlighting something. Unless you understand that, it becomes very difficult to write an essay. You may write an excellent essay on what you understood, but without doing justice to the topic that has been given here, you are not going to get good marks. And that is the challenge when it comes to the philosophical essays, and which in the current trend all the 8 topics are philosophical in nature. Now after all the 8 topics became philosophical in nature, the overall scores of people writing mains reduced. Earlier 120 was the average score. 120 was the average, I would say 120 is the average. This year 120 is a very good score. 150 was a good score earlier, 3 years back. People used to get 170, 180, the toppers in the essay. 150 people who wrote good essays used to get. 120 was average. Since the topics, nature of the topics changed and topics became difficult, the overall scores have also got reduced. 120 is a very good score for this year. Anything above 130, it's an excellent score. 110 or 105 is an average score for this year. Many people are lingering around this 100 mark, 100, 105 mark, right? So what you have to do is, you have to practice philosophical essays along with your technical essays, and I expect this trend of 8 philosophical essays to stay in vogue for at least 2 to 3 years. But doesn't mean you ignore technical essays. Okay, you have to practice your technical essays as well. But once you master the art of philosophical essays, minor modifications if you can do, then technical essays is going to be easy. Okay, I wouldn't say a cakewalk, but easy if you have mastered this philosophical essays. So this is the nature, this is the current trends. Okay, and that's why the scores have dipped. Okay, earlier 120 was the average, now 120 is very good score. because people are still figuring out how to write philosophical essays, how to do justice to the topic. They'll still follow the same approach. How earlier, what is to happen 2017, 2016, okay, one topic is given, introduction is written, after introduction, historical perspective, economic perspective, political perspective, societal perspective, science and technology perspective, and then if time permits, GS4 also you include ethical perspective, write a conclusion. You start from GS1, go to GS2, GS3 and GS4, you are going to end and write the conclusion. That is a very outdated technique to write the essays. One subject, one argument, or arguments will be rare there, just one example, and then write the conclusion. Because people are still figuring it out, how to do justice to the topic. Because here, when the topics are of technical in nature, okay, artificial intelligence, you have studied it, you have studied it in GS, you have studied it in current affairs, you have some facts about the economic potential, job opportunities with respect to artificial intelligence, you have certain examples of how job losses it can create, how the drawbacks of this thing, you will craft an essay, some fiction movies and all you will include in that, in your introduction, and then you are going to craft a very good essay. But ship, your harbor itself is in trouble, okay, you are refusing to venture out into the sea just looking at the philosophical topic, because here it is about understanding the topic. Even if you write a very good essay for what you understood, but not done justice to this topic, then it becomes very difficult for you to score very good marks. You may get at the best average, okay, but not good or very good or excellent marks. Alright, so this is the current trends that UPSC is following. Okay, in another 3 months you will have 2023 mains also coming up. Some of you might be writing that. Alright, so obviously it will be wise to expect all 8 to be philosophical essays, but do not be surprised if a couple of them are technical in nature. As I always say, only time you should be surprised with UPSC is if at all there are no surprises, either in essay or in GS1 or GS2. Last year in 2022 GS4 was a surprise. Okay, each question was like a mini passage. Okay, people are confused whether case studies are also included in part A or what. Okay, so each 4 line, 5 line questions. So no surprises in essay, only 8 philosophical topics as it was in 2021. 1 was relatively straightforward, 2 was relatively straightforward, 3 was relatively straightforward, and UPSC is like, as we go along, okay, GS4, how can we leave without any surprises? So they are surprised by including a lengthy questions in part A. Part A questions are generally 1.5, 2 lines, this time 4 lines, 5 lines question, so that aspirants spend 1.5 minutes just to read and understand what the question was asked. Okay, so always be ready, whether it is a prelims. This time you saw prelims, right? Elimination technique was eliminated. Last year only it was eliminated. Those who do not learn from that, okay, now entirely it was eliminated. So there are going to be surprises in prelims and your mains. You have to be mentally prepared for that. Alright, so moving on. Before we move on, I just want to ask you, what do you think is the most important part in an essay? If at all you have to point out. You have the basic understanding of essays. Yes, it's nothing but, there are various parts in the essays. So tell me, which do you think is the most important part of an essay? Introduction. How many of you say introduction? Okay, others? Voting for, how many of you say body? How many of you say the conclusion? So equally split between introduction, body and conclusion. So the answer is, the most important part of the essay is not exactly introduction, body or conclusion. Something that we write as a part of introduction, called as the thesis statement or the thesis. Now, thesis is written as a part of introduction. It is part of introduction itself, and many of the aspirants who still follow history, economy, polity, society, science and technology and ethics style of writing, GS 1 to 4 they cover the genre, end up missing writing the thesis statement. Now, thesis statement, simply put, is the heart of the essay. Thesis statement explains to the reader, what do you feel about the topic? What is your opinion of the topic? Whether you agree with the topic, whether you disagree with the topic, or you have partial agreement, partial disagreement. So your core idea, your central idea, your core argument of your essay is in the thesis statement. You make a core argument, and this view is yours and yours only. You are not quoting anybody, you are not stating any report, you are stating your own view. If at all, if I have to point out where in the essay I can see the core argument of the writer, it will be the thesis statement containing the core argument. Now, some of you might already be aware of thesis statement. Thesis statement contains two parts. The first and the most important, the hard part of it is called as the core argument. The second part is the dimensions you will take in the essay. In this essay, we will see this dimension, etc., etc. Now, when I ask people to write the thesis statement, they will forget the heart. They will write in this essay, we are going to see there, this, that, here, there, etc. and they will call it as the thesis statement. That is not the importance. You can skip that part. You can ignore that part of thesis statement. But the core argument, what is your view on the topic? What is your view on the patriarchy topic? What is your view on the ship in the harbor is safe? What is your view on ships do not sink? Your perception of me is a reflection of you. What exactly is your view on the entirety of the topic? Not just one dimension or one keyword. Entirety of the topic is mentioned in your core argument. Essays without core argument are like a body without a heart. Okay, the thesis first part is the core argument, second part is the various dimensions you will take in the essay. You can write the dimensions you will take, you can skip the dimensions, that's like not compulsory. But writing a core argument is a very, very vital part of the essay which many aspirants miss. It should generally at the end of the introduction, before you start the body. Okay, end of the introduction is your thesis statement containing the core argument, without which your essay is incomplete, without which the examiner will not know whether you support the topic, whether you oppose the topic. Most importantly, he will not know whether you understood the topic. By reading the core argument itself, 70% of the time, 70%, I will not say 100%, 70% of the time, I will know whether or not this person has understood the topic, because you are expressing your own view. You can express your view only when you are understanding the topic well. So just by reading the core argument, I will know, okay, whether have you understood the topic or no. And most importantly, just by reading the core argument, if I see a very strong core argument, very impactful core argument, I will expect this essay is going to score very well. If I see a very weak or no core argument, I will be like, okay, this essay is at best average, if not below average. So writing a core argument, a strong core argument which does justice to the topic, a holistic core argument, is very important. Whether it is a technical essay or a philosophical essay. Yes, there are differences between writing a core argument for technical essays and philosophical essays, that is later. But presence of a core argument is very important for you to score well in your essays, which is a thing that is missing from most of the essays. Either the thesis entirely it's missing, or thus the dimensions will be mentioned in this essay. We'll see first in the historical dimension, then in the social dimension, then in the technological dimension. That is optional. You can write it, you can skip it. But the core argument part, what is your view? Because essay, it's not stating somebody else's view. Essay is where you are stating your own view. What do you think about the topic? What do you think about the agreement of the topic or disagreement of the topic? Essay is all about originality. Originality is rewarded, whether in UPSC exam or when it comes to any aspect of your life. Essay is all about original. Now, one mistake what people do is, they will repeat the topic itself as the core argument, as if the examiner did not know what the topic was. Do not repeat the argument, the topic itself as your core argument, or they will give a synonym of that, rephrasement of that core argument. Like, they will say, ship has to go out in water, should not stay in the harbor, as the core argument for the first topic. Alright. So, we will do a short exercise. I want to teach you guys to write a basic core argument. Okay, it's not like a full effective and impactful core argument, because it all takes time. Okay, we'll start with a basic way of writing core arguments. So we'll do a short exercise. All right, I hope all of you have pen and books or paper. Anybody who doesn't, you can collect it from the coordinator. Okay, pen and sheet. So we'll do a small exercise where I'll teach you how to write a basic core argument to begin with. Okay, yes, it needs more refining, more polishing as the time goes, but today we'll just cover how to write this heart of the essay, the most important part of the essay I was talking about, and we'll do it via exercise. All right. So here I have taken this 2019's technical topic here, neglect of primary healthcare and education in India are reasons for its backwardness. Right, a very relatively easy topic. Neglect of primary healthcare and education in India are reasons for its backwardness. So very simple. Take a couple of minutes to think about this topic. Write 2 to 3 lines of introduction, 2 to 3 lines of one argument in support of this statement, agreeing with this, and another 2 to 3 lines of one argument disagreeing with this statement. First, one brief introduction, right? Then agree with that statement, something that supports this statement, something that opposes the statement, and finally I want you to summarize the everything: introduction, the supporting argument, and the opposing argument. Just summarize that as the conclusion. Okay, so I'll just write it on the board what you have to write. Take a couple of minutes to think it over. Brief introduction. After that, supporting argument. One argument in support, agreeing with the statement or the topic given. Then opposing argument. One argument opposing this topic that has been given. And lastly, summarize everything. The summary, both introduction, the supporting argument, and the opposing argument. You can use facts or examples to support the supporting argument or support the opposing argument. You can use examples also. First write the argument and then you can substantiate it using facts or examples, and then overall summarize that. Okay, take 5 minutes to do this exercise. Think about it. Nothing right or wrong here, we are all learning. Okay, this is just a basic way of generating the core argument I am teaching. First you do this, then I will tell you how to generate the core argument. Those who are joining us from online, please you can write this at your home as well, the same exercise what people here in Bengaluru are doing. Last 2 minutes, start writing the summary. Whatever you have written so far, just summarize it in the last 2 minutes. All right, time. So I think you have all written a brief introduction as I was walking around the classroom, and argument in support, argument in oppose of this statement, and then its summary. Let us discuss. Who wants to read out what they have written? A couple of things that you have written. There is no right or wrong. Okay, you can just give it a shot, and we'll discuss, because this is vital for me to show you how to craft a core argument. Yeah, who is going first? Nothing to worry. Okay, it's everybody is here to learn. Nobody is here to judge. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. You will go. Okay. I'll just get to the mic. So just read it out as clearly as possible. Your name, sir? Just. Okay.
Sir, only here.
Network issues everywhere. Can't help. Yeah. Yeah. Your name, sir?
Sir, Chandrasekhar.
Okay, Chandrasekhar, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. In the world, health and education are the important tools for the country's development. In the India's perspective, or India's point of view, these are the true in nature, because when we give a health and education, we turn the population liability to population dividend. So because the population, which country have a good healthy and skilled education population, that country will make a good productive assets, because when the country's population is skilled and trained, that country take a most productive works from the populations. That's the example one of the Japan. Japan is the attacked by atom bomb in 1945. Then the Japan fixed into the America's import. So I'll writing it, but I'll explain.
Yeah, I know. I understand the time constraint. But just to summarize, he's talking about the education part. Okay, like how we can turn the population into the demographic dividend, how we can harness the demographic dividend, and he summarizes that. Okay, next, who is reading?
Thank you, sir.
Give it a shot. Just read it, no, not an issue. It's okay.
Education and health sector play a vital role in ensuring there is a boost in the Human Development Index. These two important factors can determine the future of an individual by ensuring they either lead a stable financial lifestyle or could also end him or her up in a debt trap, which could be the cause of poor health and unemployment. Kerala as a state has always been at the forefront to showcase the strength of its development in various sectors, which has resulted in it being an ideal state where it has the highest literacy rate in the nation, which goes on to show the importance of primary health care and education and education it bring out to communities from to backwardness. I didn't frame that right, and that's how much.
Summary? You didn't summarize?
No, sir, I didn't.
All right. Okay. Fine. All right. How many of you have not summarized what I have this supporting argument and opposing argument and introduction? You didn't get time to summarize? Okay. All right. Take a couple of minutes more and just write a summary. Okay, because it is important that you summarize. So just take a couple of minutes more. Whatever you have written, based on that, I need a summary. What? Oh, yours. Okay. the gist of whatever you have written, the supporting statement, the opposing statement and the introduction. Summarize that in 2 or 3 lines. That's about it. A holistic summary. Quickly finish it off soon. All right, so I think that's sufficient time. So I hope you all have written a summary of sorts. Okay, Tejas, can you just read out a summary?
In this essay, we would delve into various dimensions to look into how importance showcased to education and health sector can drive growth in an economy, and we would inspect instances where this has not been the sole reason to help alleviate individuals to come out of backwardness.
All right, so he's taking a approach where he is going to see how it has resulted, education has resulted in development, and also where these two are not enough. Who else is going to just read the summary, not the entire this thing? Who else? What? Yes, your name, ma'am? Could you just come here? Just the summary part.
As a foundation is very important part of the building or any other structure, it is base and it is a base for stability. Likewise, the primary health and education are plays a very vital role for citizens and also for a country to prosper. And also there are many factors like skill development, awareness about the plans and programs of the government, and the implementation is also very important aspect. Further, I will discuss about how only the neglect of primary health and education are the reason, and also what are the other reasons for the backwardness and also measures to overcome it.
So in the first half of the summary, she is telling like how, talking about the importance of education and healthcare. After that, skill development, government policies and other factors that are needed for India to emerge out of its backwardness. Well done, Pavitra. We need 2 more people, just last 2 more. Who wants to read? Okay. Anybody else? Come on, take it a shot. Yeah, your name, sir? Srikanth, please come here. The mic range is not that much, so you just have to come. No problem. I'm harmless, so you can walk through me. Okay, so don't worry. Okay.
I have written some points. In the summary, I have written like, considering all above the points and facts, development of a country is reflected in its development of demographic dividend. Many social indicators like Human Development Index human happiness index and gender inequality index, etc., have the parameters like primary health and education in it. Hence, one cannot ignore the importance of primary health care and education, especially a country like India, where it is going to be a population, most populous country in the world. So it is very beneficial in order to tap demographic dividend. Thank you.
All right, good job, Shrikant. So again, he is giving about the various aspects of health and education, but along with that, we need other factors he is mentioning as a part of your summary. All right, we'll do one thing. Okay, let us write a core argument for this. So based on this, how do you write a core argument? So any idea? How do you generate a core argument on this? You wrote the introduction, one supporting argument, one opposing argument, and then the summary. See, you don't have to think too much, because the summary that you have written as a part of this essay topic is a very basic and a rudimentary core argument. Okay, what you generated as the summary, that is called as a core argument, where you are mentioning what you feel about the topic, one in an accepting dimension or an agreeing dimension, one more in an opposing dimension to the topic, and you have summarized that as a whole, and you are not giving anybody's view, you are giving your own view. Okay, and that summary is a basic way of writing a core argument. Core argument has to be more holistic, has to be more precise and most refined. But to begin, for a beginner, for a technical essay, that summary would be a core argument. One way of writing a basic, very rudimentary, a crude form of core argument essay would be this. You generate an argument in support of the topic, you generate an argument in opposing of the topic, and then merge both, giving a holistic summary. So this is one way of generating a core argument. I am telling you, it has to be more refined, more polished, more holistic, but basic way of doing that is this. Okay, the summary part. That's why I was so insistent on the summary. All right, we'll do one more exercise, similar exercise. I'll give you some time. We'll take one more topic, same thing, brief introduction, supporting argument, opposing argument, and the summary will be the most important part. Okay, do not miss out the summary, and let's see if you can come up with good core arguments. Okay, this topic from I think 2017. Okay, this one, farming has lost the ability to be a source of subsistence for a majority of farmers in India. So let us all generate a basic core argument. Okay, remember, it is just basic. Core argument has to be more refined, more polished, more holistic. So follow the same template which I gave you. Okay, write a brief introduction, a supporting argument, an opposing argument, and the summary, the holistic summary of whatever you have written. Take 7 minutes, 5 minutes to do all the introduction, supporting argument, opposing argument, and 2 minutes to write the summary. Okay, summary is the most important here. Do not miss out writing on a summary. Last 2 minutes, start summarizing whatever you have written. All right, time up. So, anybody who wants to read? We'll just read a couple and then we'll move it. Yes, who is going? Who is going? It's a very easy topic. Whoever has not, Parikshit, you'll read. Please come here now. Just the summary part would be fine. Okay, yeah, that's the.
So, the government has to adopt to the sustainable farming and involve research and development of the seeds to produce disease-resistant crops and involve more in biotechnology for the better yield of the crops. So, it should bring out initiatives of organic farming to help mitigate climate change and help increase farmers' income, and in turn which brings a balance in the biodiversity.
Yeah. So the issue, he is agreeing with that, farming has lost the subsistence ability for being a subsistence. So he is giving the measures what the government can take in order to ensure that farming is becoming more subsistence based in the future. However, it could have been more holistic if I had told that no, farming still continues to be source of subsistence for the majority of the people. Good job, Parikshit. One more, last. Who is going? Yeah, Divya, please come.
Okay, there are myriad farmers in India whose sad plight are that they cannot, rather should not depend on farming as the only source of subsistence. Many farmers' decisiveness to opt for an additional income is wise in this case. For instance, cattle, sustainable development, etc. This trend is observed across India. However, some farmers still continue to entirely rely on farmlands and have not breathed a word about the ability of farming to have been stopped to be a source of subsistence. Yes.
All right, good. So both sides argument is given, how farming subsistence have to be improved and how it still continues to be a source of subsistence for a majority of the farmer. So this is one way of writing a core argument. As I told you, it is just the basic kind of crude form. It has to be much more holistic in nature, and that we are going to cover in the upcoming sessions as a part of Essay Edge course that will be starting from next week onwards. So I'll just run you through what and all will be there in the Essay Edge course before I hand over the stage to Damini. We'll be having a total of 11 classes. First we'll start with the basic classes where I'll focus on your skill enhancement. Like we'll start with the introduction. In the introduction, the hook part, the funnel part, and then we'll write the thesis and your core argument. Then we'll go to the body part, okay, where I'll teach you to generate arguments, counter arguments. Everything will be done like the similar exercises in the class itself, where it will not be just like I give you the lecture and go and then you try and learn it at home. We'll learn it in the class itself, because as you have seen, when you write and practice within the class itself, it will make more sense of what I tell you. and I can in the class itself I can teach you how it is done, because essay writing is basically a skill. Now I am sure after doing these 2 exercises, all of you will write at least a decent core argument, at least an average core argument you will be write, that much I am sure of. Okay, if we do that for everything, then most of the things will be refined and polished. Okay, after that there will be regular discussions on the tests that will be happening, and after halfway during the course, when you write 4 tests, I will be having the capability enhancement classes, that will be the advanced classes. Now the first set of classes will ensure that your essays become average to good. Okay, the second set of classes will be for further improvement, how to write 2 distinct essays for part A and part B, how to make your essays more persuasive, how to ensure that you are like writing one of the very good essays. So that will be the second set of classes. Classes will be held in a staggered manner. Detailed table is on the website. To waste too much time into that. The most important here will be 9 tests. Okay. On 15th there will be a baseline test. Baseline test means you will write 1 philosophical essay and 1 technical essay as part of this baseline test. This is for me to judge your current proficiency. Some of you might have already written a lot of essays, or some of you might just be beginning into the journey. Because everybody is not the same, I need to judge your current proficiency of your essay writing. Based on that, I can work on you in your classes, also on the one-on-one session where I will be giving you one-on-one feedback on your essay test. So after each test, okay, the essays that you have written, okay, will be discussed one-on-one. That's the approach I followed with Damini and her friends in previous batches. So one-on-one feedback where I will discuss and show you what are the things that you have to improve. After the detailed evaluation, it will be evaluated in detail. After that, I will point out what are the improvements that you could have done as a part of your essay after the test. And this one-on-one feedback will be helpful for you to improve your essay scores. After take the baseline test apart. After that, after 4 tests are done. So after test number 4, I will give you something known as SWOT analysis template. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. For me to give this, you have to write at least 4 tests, because else the subset will be too less for me to generate this template. So your major strengths when it comes to essay writing, your major weaknesses, the opportunities that you are missing, where you could cash on upon based on your strengths, and the threats that you have where you are making major mistakes which could cost you in the exam. This template will be given, and that you can use to improve the next set of tests, next set of 4 tests after that. Okay, this is an approach that I have tried and tested with already my students, including Damini. Okay, and this will be given to you at the midpoint. So for me to generate, okay, you have to ensure that you have written 4 tests apart from the baseline test. So including baseline test, you should have written at least ideally 5 tests, that is 10 essays. So why? Because everything will be integrated by me. So since I have read all your 10 essays, including the baseline test, I will have a broad understanding of your strengths, weaknesses, the opportunities that you are missing, and the major threats that can cost you in your exam. So based on this SWOT analysis template, you can improve your further tests. And then I will also be providing you with unique value added material. I will just give a glimpse of it. Now in the introduction, when I started the session, I spoke about various leaders. Okay. Now how many of you have heard of do or die speech of Mahatma Gandhi? Please raise your hands. Do or die speech of Mahatma Gandhi, August Kranti, which started. What about others? You at least know do or die speech? Please raise your hands if you have read. Nobody has read modern English. Please, all up. So I think almost all of you have know about do or die speech, right? Okay. Next, raise your hands if you have heard of I Have a Dream speech of Martin Luther King. Please raise your hands. Okay. About 40% of you know about Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. How many of you know about Emancipation Proclamation of Abraham Lincoln, where he emancipated slaves? Yes? Okay, very few of you. All right. How many of you know about Nelson Mandela's acceptance speech as the first black president of South Africa? You know? Okay, about 10% of you know about this. Okay. How many of you know about Mark Antony's speech at the death of Caesar's funeral? 1, 2, okay, just 2 of you, 3, 4 and 5 including. Now the thing is, when I spoke about Gandhi, everybody was aware of Gandhi's do or die speech. If you use that as an example in an essay, out of 100 people writing the essay, 70% people would have used that. If not that, at least 20% would have used Martin Luther King's speech, which is slightly better than Gandhi, but still a cliche. Cliche means which is more often used, overused. Everybody will use it. Or you can take the example of Emancipation Proclamation. Not many will use it. So that means that is not exactly a cliche. In my opinion it is, but since you are not aware of that, for this class it is not. So when you use cliches, the examiner is like, okay, this person also has written, this person also has written, this person also has written, you will get average marks. So how do you create an edge over your competitors? Use unique examples, use unique arguments. That means examiner should, oh, I had not read about this, or this is something which offers me a new perspective, nobody else has written this. Like Mark Antony's speech at the death of Julius Caesar, or Nelson Mandela's acceptance speech. See, everybody knows of apartheid struggle, the jailing of Nelson Mandela, everybody will write that. But his acceptance speech, where he spoke about forgiveness, where he spoke about compassion, not many people are aware. So that is unique. So like that, I have included a lot of examples, arguments as a part of your value added material, which will be given during the course, which you can use to get an edge over your competition. Because writing cliched examples, at best you can expect average marks. To push this average to very good marks, you need to have uniqueness in your essays. And one way of generating uniqueness is using unique examples, unique quotes, unique arguments in your essays, which will be provided to you during the course. And everything will be done in a course book. Okay, I had planned on releasing it today, but still it's a work in progress. Shortly I will release it, because all your tests, all the class notes, everything, it will be there in that course book itself, so that everything is there at one place and it is easier for me to give the feedback, including the SWOT analysis template. And most importantly, using the course book, you yourself can track your progress. You see how you will be when you write the baseline test, and you see how you will be when you write the final test, that is the 9th test. You yourself can feel the difference, and if everything is there, it will be easier for me to evaluate and give you feedback based on that. Because what will happen is, current trends in the market, you will write one essay, that will be evaluated by somebody, second essay by somebody, third essay by somebody. There is no integrated feedback. I believe for any skill to be developed, you need this integrated feedback, which I will offer as part of the SIH program. And obviously, I think you are all aware, okay, you can always reach out to me during the course, after the course, 1 year after the course, okay. I am always accessible for you people, if at all you have any sort of doubts, okay, during or after the course, okay. That is briefly about the program that we will be launching next week. 15th will be the baseline test, and 16th will be the first set of classes will be starting, okay. Enough of the course, okay. Now, it gives me immense joy and gratitude to call one of my mentee here shortly. All right. Now talking about Damini, right? She is a Insights IS OGP student in 2021 batch. Okay, and this was the COVID batch. Okay, it was all the classes were online. The mentorship was online. I still remember my first call with her. Right since day one, she has been extremely dedicated and extremely committed. Okay. Right since day one, I think geography was it, the first subject to start. I have seen her geography answer, I have seen her growth into this UPSC journey. Her perseverance is unmatched. Okay, she is very much dedicated, and her perseverance is unmatched. She has by and large been an online student. Okay, she studied from her village in Chanpatna, and one thing that I really admire is her perseverance and her dedication, given that even just in her first attempt she wrote her first mains. Okay, she could not prepare as much as expected for the mains, and she could not clear it. She took it on the chin, she took it with a pinch of salt, learned from her mistake, and worked even harder, okay, even harder for the next mains in 2022. And as you all know, in 2022 she got All India rank 345. Okay, so that's a great achievement to clear this, in just the 2 attempts. And it swells my heart with pride to invite her on stage to share her essay strategy with you. okay, in which she got a very good score of 130, which I'm really happy about, and she will share the strategy with you. So without further much ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Damini M. Das, IAS, okay, and she will be presenting her essay strategy, and she is also our Inside Science OGP student, okay.
I just need my first two essays. Okay, good morning all of you. I'm Damini. I've gotten rank 345 this time and an essay score of 130. So it gives me some credibility to talk about essay. And like sir mentioned earlier, there used to be a trend of philosophical essay. One would be philosophical essay and the other would be technical. And for me personally, I always preferred philosophical essays, and only today I realized the probable reason for it. Like sir mentioned, people from PubAd will have a tendency to choose a certain topic, people from political science will choose another, people from anthropology another, and my optional being Kannada literature, I don't think it matches with any of the GS subjects or the technical topics. So probably that's why the inclination towards philosophical essays, I don't know. So I'll just start off. Usually the questions that I get regarding essays is what material should we read and how can we improve on it. But the short answer to this is there is no material that you can read for essay in particular. The only way to improve your essays is to write more and more essays. And of course, even after my first attempt, after writing about 50-60 essays, when I was starting for my second attempt, for the first essay I was still very apprehensive, like should I write it? There's always that resistance that you don't want to write, you're afraid that you'll write a bad essay, or your mind just doesn't work and you're not able to write anything. So that's very natural, but the only way to overcome this is by writing more and more essays. And at the beginning I used to write one essay every week. This is my first essay. I started back in 23rd August 2020. That was 17th August our course started, OGP1, and this was my first essay. And as you can see, it's really bad. I think I've written for 2 or 3, just 3 pages I've written. Okay. So I've just written 3 pages. My first 3 essays I go beyond 3 or 4 pages, and I can the pain FAREES sir would have gone through reading these essays. It's with these essays that we started off, and of course, like he's already giving you the major outline of essays, but looking at these essays, he knew that he can't even start off with telling me what a thesis statement is. He mentioned the word thesis statement to me after maybe 10 or 20 essays. That's how bad I was at the start. So he knew that I won't even understand if he told what a thesis statement was. So it's with these essays that we started. And by the time I wrote my mains, I was actually confident. Whatever philosophical essay that comes my way, I'll be able to. So I'll just take up this year's essay question paper and tell how my strategy towards a philosophical essay was. usually, like sir mentioned earlier, the approach was, even I used, being an online student, I used to rely upon a lot of toppers talks to see how to write an essay, how to write ethics answers, how to write GS answers, and until 2021 the approach was slightly different. That's the kind of questions you were getting earlier. Still approach is what it was called earlier, political, economical, social, technological approach. So, but with philosophical essays, you can't take that approach, because the problem is usually what people do, these are the two topics that I had written. Okay, these are the two topics that I had written, and I think 90% of people who wrote mains paper last year have written these two topics. And it's often a misconception to think that, okay, most people are going to pick these topics, I shouldn't write it. Just pick a topic which you feel you will do most justice to. Don't go based on I should pick a unique topic. You pick a unique topic and you don't understand it or don't do justice to it, you'll still score less. So just pick a topic which you feel you can do your best at. So now, taking up this topic, a ship in harbour is safe, but that's not what ship is for. I used to take around 20 to 30 minutes for brainstorming itself. My writing time would be comparatively lesser. I think I take some 10 minutes to 5 minutes or 10 minutes to pick which topic I want, and 20-25 minutes for brainstorming, and another 1 hour to write the essay. So now here, like sir told, in philosophical essays we don't have any keywords, but we have key concepts here. For example, a ship in harbour is safe, but that's not what ship is for. So first, at the start, all of us can understand that, okay, you need to challenge yourself, you shouldn't remain in your comfort zone. So this is the basic gist of the topic, but there are different ways to interpret this, and my way of interpreting philosophical topics or to generate arguments, what I used to do is 0001. Being from computer science background, this is how I used to work, but I can explain it to you with these topics. For example, ship in harbour is safe, but that's not what the ship is for. This is my first part, this is my first variable, and this is my second variable. So here what I do is, a ship in harbour is safe, but that's not what the ship is for. I'll agree to it. So statement 1 is true, statement 2 is also true. Part A, part B, both are true for me. So I'll go generating on this. See, the problem is, earlier generating arguments, people did it on the basis of pestle approach, political, economical, social, but that is not you generating arguments. Basically, you'll just be justifying this argument from different dimensions, from different subjects' perspective. Just that you'll be giving different examples, but it's important to generate different arguments, and this is how this is one way to generate different arguments. Say, for example, now I'm telling a ship in harbour is safe, but that's not what the ship is for. I'm completely agreeing to it, and I started off with the example of Rosa Parks. And I also have this habit of using analogies everywhere, using metaphors. So to this topic is the example of Rosa Parks. If you've heard of Rosa Parks, right? The instance on the bus. Yeah. So, for example, if Rosa had gotten up and left the seat to the white man that day, she would have been safe. The ship in the harbour would have been safe. But that's not what she chose to do. She instead took off her anchors. In this case, I just used a bit of a wordplay, telling she stuck to her ground and took off her anchors and sailed off towards the island of freedom. And you to use really flowery or fancy language. For me, being from a literature background, it was easier for me to do that. Please don't be of the misconception that your language or your English proficiency matters here. It's mainly, maybe that can add around 10% of value, but 90% is about your arguments. If your arguments are strong, it doesn't matter how proficient your English language is, and if you try to make it too complicated also, it won't be very easy for the reader to go through. So keep it lucid and try to generate as many arguments as possible. Coming back to the topic, first I'll agree, yes, the ship in harbour is safe, but that's not what the ship is for. For example, Rosa Parks. You can take different examples here. Here you can actually, for each of these individual ones, you can take that pestle thing and use different examples. One thing is Rosa Parks, another thing is it could be societal restrictions based on women, and how women should actually venture out and not be limited to the restrictions. So that is one thing. Next, I'll go to 1.0. Okay. This is fine. Okay. Okay. Yeah, let's get back to this. Okay, so next point is a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what the ship is for. So here I contradicted it, telling yes, a ship is harbor and safe, and sometimes that is what it is supposed to do also. See, it's not all, when there are high storms and surges, or there is a warning of tsunami, the ship shouldn't go and venture out into the sea, right? And you can use COVID-19 as an example for that. That's the time you have to stay at home, you have to stay at the safety and comfort of your house in order to prevent further dangers, and you need to know when you should venture out into the sea and when not to. So that is one thing I used here. And the next one is disagreeing with this statement itself and agreeing with this. Ship in harbor is safe. Not necessarily. A ship in harbor is not always safe. You always keep it anchored, it can rust, it can degrade, right? So that can be given as an example for our mindsets. So we are thinking in a certain way and we continue to think that way, it's going to rust. There is no flow in that kind of thought process. So, and next argument would be based on, no, I'll not agree with both. I actually used to use, being from Kannada literature, I used to use a lot of Basavanna example. So sometimes, for example here, COVID case I mentioned, yes, when there is a storm, the ship shouldn't venture out into the sea. But in the case of Basavanna, I used a contradictory example telling, yes, in that social surroundings, Basavanna would have been safe had he not ventured out into bringing about new caste changes and telling everyone is equal. But in spite of that, he did that, and he did succeed. So sometimes even in storm, you can take out the ship, and it will still reach a safer place. So this is how you can generate different arguments. And please know that generating arguments does not mean telling the same argument from different subjects' perspective. Generate different arguments, counter the same argument, and finally stick to one thing. And like sir told, with respect to thesis statement, initially my thesis statements were also very bad. It's only with time that I, after generating all these arguments, I just asked myself which of these seems most convincing to me, and I try to use that as my core argument and as my thesis statement. Same thing goes with the second topic also. The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. That is true. Let's agree to that, telling yes, we need to be prepared beforehand and all that. Then you also contradict the statement. Sometimes you won't even know where the roof is leaking until it starts raining. When the sun is shining, you don't know where the flaws are. So for example, for that I used the case of 1975 emergency. We didn't know what the issue with the emergency provisions were until Indira Gandhi imposed the 75 emergency. So this way you can generate different arguments. And next, one more thing what I wanted to tell was, I can't tell how grateful I am to FAREES sir for guiding me through this entire journey. Like I showed you, my first few essays were outright pathetic. So it's not even about improving them, it's about reading them itself takes a lot of effort. And sir was mentioning about different examples, right? Cliched examples and regular, not so known, unique examples and all that. So my first problem was examples. Arguments somehow I was able to generate, but examples I always struggled. And I still remember with every essay sir evaluated, it used to be over a phone call or over a Zoom call. And then and there sir would push me to think, okay, think of different examples. So he literally taught me how to think and how to go about and I used to always have self-doubt, thinking, okay, this example might not be good enough. So he used to always tell me, you just give the example, and if it's not good enough, I'll tell you. Don't be a judge of yourself sitting in the exam hall, and please don't do that. That's a sincere advice to you all. And like sir told, there's some people who know the cliched examples, some people who know unique examples. But I belong to another category where even though I knew some unique cases, I somehow never got to use them. For some reason, while sitting and writing an essay, my mind would go blank when it came to examples. I wasn't able to think beyond cliched examples. So cliched examples were a major problem that I used to have, and Farees sir's essay discussions actually helped me overcome that. When I read other people's essays, when I came across what other kind of arguments and examples that you can be using, it actually helped me go a long way. So I have to, and whatever rank I've gotten today was also because of my essay marks. My GS marks are at most decent and average. My optional score is good, but the subject which got me an edge over other people was essay, and I like to thank Farees sir for that. Thank you, sir.
All right. All right, one mic is not working, so we'll have to use the same mic. So you heard from Damini itself. Okay, everybody starts off writing a poor and pathetic essay only. Okay, it's a skill, it's a art, it's a craft. The more you write, the better you get at that. Okay, so nothing to worry. Like if you are unable to write even the summary today. Everybody is at a different stage. You saw her first essay. I didn't know that she had that collection of the first essay. Okay, it's all about the practice. Okay, the more you practice, the better you get at that. And just shared you some tips and tricks with you. But the thing is, now the tips and tricks are out in the open. You see now, when you write your feature essays and come to me, everybody will mention Rosa Parks. Everybody is going to mention Basavanath. So that will become a cliched example. When she wrote her mains, that was not a cliched example. That binary strategy which she used very effectively. Now everybody who is sitting here, who is watching and joining us from online, are aware of that strategy. Okay, that means it will become a cliched example. So keep in mind, no Rosa Parks when you write essays as part of Essay Edge. Okay, so this thing, but you learn. Okay, that's nothing but it's all practice. So now with respect to her essays, right, one thing which I really liked about her essays right since day one is her way of writing. She had a very fluency in writing right since day one. Though she wrote 3 pages, 4 pages, I should tell her that, okay, your essays are fluent. If you can generate better examples, okay, if you can just learn better examples, you'll write good essays. Because examples you can get from anywhere, but the writing arguments, generating arguments is very important. And yes, she put in a lot of hard work, okay. I had to literally force her to take a vacation. Okay, she was not a person to take a vacation after her last mains. Okay, this thing. So not a single Sunday off. Okay, and until very recently, okay, which she ensured that she was day in and day out studying. Okay, now enough of her essay strategy, which you all have known. I want to talk to you people about her overall detailed strategy. We'll make it an interactive session, all right. So I'll just ask her some questions about her journey and her strategy, and she will answer these questions with respect to that, and after that you can ask her the questions about her essay or about her overall strategy with respect to UPSC. So we'll start with prelims, Damini. Okay. Now the prelims has become tricky. Did you see the paper? Yeah. So prelims has indeed become tricky. I think more trickier than 2021, right? So what do you think these people who are appearing for next year should do, ma?
Personally, mistakes that I had noticed was a lot of people focus too much on current affairs and neglect static content, but most chunk of your questions come from static content, so please don't miss out on your static questions. And I still remember I was always scared of prelims, and had I had to write this prelims, I'm pretty sure I would have been somewhere on the border or maybe not cleared. So I remember what FAREES sir had told. So FAREES sir had told that once he wrote 100 prelims, prelims was never a problem for him. So I made it a task that I have to give 100 prelims test series. So practicing always matters most, and for me I never had a fixed revision strategy. My tests turned out to be my revision strategy, because when you're reading, it's more of passive learning. Whatever is there, you're just absorbing it. But when you're forced to write a test, you're supposed to think, you're supposed to recall, and also you'll know where you're faltering. Because in one subject, probably not the entire subject is your weak point. Probably some things you're forgetting. So you'll know where exactly you're faltering, what you're missing. So when you write tests, it'll be easier to go back and read the second or third time, because you'll become more absorptive that time. And also please focus on previous year questions. And given the recent trend where elimination is, like sir told, completely eliminated with 1 pair only, 2 pair only, please try to be a little wise. There will be a lot of YouTube videos based on tips and tricks telling this is always right or this is always wrong or extreme statements are wrong. UPSC has gone way past that. Now those tips and tricks don't work anymore. Please keep practicing so that you'll be able to take logical guesses and you'll be able to apply your mind at the moment. And most important of it all is staying calm. Staying calm in those 2 hours matters the most. And I think 22 prelims I cleared only because I was calm in the prelims, thinking, okay, 1 only, 2 only, this exam is gone, I won't be able to clear it either ways, and I wrote. So because of that sense of detachment from the exam, I was able to stay calm and I was able to write the exam properly.
My next question to her, I know you have been asked this question a lot of times, many times in your mock interviews. Now that you have cleared, why did you want to become an IAS officer, Damini?
This is actually mainly because of my father. Like from the time I can remember, from when I was a kid, he'd been telling me that I have to become an IAS officer. He would have interacted with different officers, right? And he would have seen what's right, what's wrong. So he used to always push me into taking this exam up. And back then, of course, even I didn't know that the exam is called UPSC exam. We just thought it was IAS exam. I didn't know anything about UPSC until 2020. Once after I left my job, resigned from my job, and decided to start preparing for UPSC, that's when I learnt about this. So yeah, that's been my motivation to become an IAS officer.
And Damini's father is a farmer by profession. She is a farmer's daughter, a very proud daughter who has made her father really, really, really proud. Okay. Moving on, coming to prelims again, CSAT has become CAT, right? They have to rename it to CAT. So what do you think these people should do with respect to CSAT?
With my first prelims, that is in 21, I could actually manage CSAT paper without much difficulty. I just solved the previous year CSAT papers and I didn't really have an issue with it. But come 22 prelims and CSAT, I actually struggled big time sitting in the exam hall, because we always had this mentality that okay, engineers don't have to prepare for CSAT, and I for one never even bothered reading the reading comprehensions. I always focused on maths and reasoning, thinking because my accuracy would be much better there, and paragraphs would be so long, I thought that would be more time consuming. Let me just focus on maths and reasoning. But now that's not the case. So please don't focus on any one section, be it RC or maths or reasoning. ensure that you give an adequate time and practice for everything. And I'm not the best person to advise on which are the best reading materials for this, because I personally haven't done that. My main source was always previous year questions, and I would solve that. So I think sir would be a better person to guide you regarding this.
So with respect to CSAT, when it comes to that, all right, the thing is, it's all about practice. The thing is, you have to practice frequently. As she told, okay, second, like 2022 prelims, she was on the border, like 70, she was 70. One question here and there, okay, she would have missed entire thing. Okay, 2 questions here and there you can take. Okay, which this thing, luck was on her side. Yes, she had worked really hard, but in the first prelims she cleared it comfortably. But next prelims, you know, sometimes the things that you have depend on, okay, that will backfire. The thing is not to have any favorites when it comes to CSAT. Practice RC, practice quant, practice reasoning. Do not leave anything, okay, unprepared, and start with the basics first. And with a lot of practice, you can practice on a regular basis if you want. Okay, the time that you devote for current affairs, you can start devoting at least half of it for the CSAT, especially if it's weak. And do not take anything on the ego. Okay, I am an engineer, I have maths optional. No, everybody has suffered, because CSAT is now not CSAT, it is CAT. Okay, remember that and prepare accordingly. I will not be surprised if a person who cleared CSAT on the border or did not clear CSAT get 95 percentile above in the CAT exam come November. Okay, so quite possibility, because that's the level of difficulty with respect to the CSAT here. And as you told about current affairs, do not, I'm not saying do not study current affairs, do not over rely on current affairs. Static is your bread and butter. Okay, if you are almost as perfect as possible in static part, you will be somehow have a good hold over current affairs. That will be sufficient for you to clear your prelims. Okay, so that is with respect to the prelims. Coming to the mains part, we'll take it paper wise. Okay, Damini wrote a lot of answers right since day one. Okay, could you just shed some light on your answer writing journey, Damini?
Yeah, with respect to answer writing, one mistake that I made was I started from literally day one. My geography subject had started and I started writing. Probably don't do that. Wait for one subject to get over, or a substantial portion, a topic to get over, and then start writing answers to it. And again, just as see, whenever you write your first answer or your first essay, it's going to be your worst essay. So no matter when you write, it's going to be your worst. So might as well start today, right? So with respect to answer writing, my initial answers didn't have an introduction, no conclusion. I used to take 1 hour, half an hour or 1 hour to write one answer. But that's okay, just start writing once a substantial portion is completed. And I think the best source for questions would be your previous year questions. And it's okay, after your first revision, if you've written the answer, it's okay. Again, after your second revision, take up those same questions and try to write again. Try to see how you can improve upon your answer writing. I think, and the best way to improve upon is on rewriting the answers that you've already written. And this again I learned from another topper called Jagriti Avasti. She wrote her answer previous year questions. She wrote the same answer 2-3 times and tried to improvise it each time. And I think that would be the best strategy. And try to inculcate data and facts from the very beginning. If you try to mug them up, it won't help. So while you're preparing itself, while doing your daily answer writing, try to inculcate data, facts, maps into it. And I think you can use previous year toppers copies to get an idea as to what an answer should look like. And again, here also your English proficiency doesn't matter. Your this, that, and is not going to matter here. It's your keywords that is going to matter. Keep your points short and ensure you write an effective introduction and conclusion. But don't sweat it over. Okay, I should write a really good introduction. Write as good an introduction as you can and focus on the body. Try to put in maps and diagrams wherever possible.
The thing is, you have to remember, you can refer the toppers copies for inspiration and following this thing. Do not exactly copy paste the style of answer writing. Even with essay writing, now that her strategy is out in open, okay, everybody will start copying her strategy. The thing with UPSC is originality is rewarded. Okay, because now everybody will start following her strategy, everybody will start writing essays like her, then it will become like a same approach. This is what happened in 2017 when Anudeep Durishetty got All India rank 1. His essay strategy was, he compared 2 things, South Korea and North Korea in introduction. So comparative way of introducing, taking two entities of South Korea and North Korea. Every person started using comparative introduction in their essays. They'll take either two leaders or two countries or two people, Ram and Sham. Ram is hardworking, Sham is not so hardworking. Ram achieves success, Sham does not achieve success. That means there is no originality. You are just using somebody else's style which everybody else is using. What is the new perspective that you can offer the examiner? So originality is rewarded. So maintain your originality. Topper's answer copies definitely help, but only for you to serve as an inspiration. What additional things that you can incorporate? Do not copy paste the exact style with respect to the toppers. Okay, exact style, exact example, exact way of presentation. That is not needed. Okay, do not copy paste. Always remember, originality is rewarded, especially in essays and your optionals. Okay, and you can practice and develop your own unique style. All right. So coming to the next aspect. Now, mains is very tricky, right? You start off with the essay. Next day you have GS1 in the morning, GS2 in the afternoon, GS3 the day after in the morning, GS4. It's like a continuous chunk where it is mentally exhausting as well as physically exhausting. Now, that there will be no dearth of content, because anybody who is preparing for mains is a serious student. Anybody who is clearing prelims is a serious student. But still, many people fail to execute their plans which they have prepared, whether it is with respect to the strategies or whether it is with respect to their implementation with their knowledge that you have. Knowledge is there in your head, but you are getting marks for your implementation, not for what is there in your head. So how do these people overcome that mismatch between what they have prepared and what they have executed?
Yes, this is a major problem I faced in my first mains. When I went, essay was, even back in the first attempt, essay was always my strength. Essay and optional is what I was confident. Essay, ethics and optional. Partly because I'm a little scared of GS and it's a vast syllabus and I'm also a little lazy that way. So I was always more confident with essay, ethics and optional. But when I went in for my essay paper, all I could think of was the next day's GS papers, and I was completely freaked out. I was absolutely scared because I hadn't, since it was my first attempt, I hadn't completed the syllabus. World history, I didn't even know what is there in that. Of course, it's not that important. You just have to do a little bit of smart work, reading some notes or something. But I hadn't even completed my syllabus for any of those GS 1 to 3 papers. So I was completely scared. And out of my fear for GS 1 to 3 papers, I messed up my essay paper also. And I thought, when I saw the paper, I wrote my first essay, part A essay I wrote, and I've actually written a decent essay. But while writing part B essay, I was again scared, thinking, okay, I've again messed up my part A essay, and out of that sadness that I've messed up my part A essay, I messed up my part B essay, and after I completed the entire paper, I still had half an hour at hand. I went back and read both my essays, and I realized, first essay I've actually done a decent job. Had I done a good enough job in part B also, I would have gotten better marks. So when you're in the exam hall, don't even think about your past mistakes and regret it in the exam hall, or don't even be scared of your next paper or next question and fret about it in the exam hall. When you're there, just be there, just be calm and relaxed. 50% is what you read before the exam, and 50% of your marks actually depends on how calm and how sane you can stay on the day of the exam. While writing my GS1 paper, I was so tensed and anxious that in the place of the answer for GS question 7, I ended up writing the answer for question 8. So like this 4 questions I wrote in different in the space provided for a different answer. And in UPSC, you know, you can't scratch the question, or it's not like how we do it in our college exams, right? So that also costed me heavily. So please be as calm as possible. If anything worked, if a major thing that I changed from my first attempt to second attempt was learning how to stay calm on the day of the exam.
Whether it is your prelims or your mains, staying calm is of paramount importance. As she was telling, right, you know, when the space is provided for question number 7 and you write the answer for question number 8, first timers, you know, especially when you are writing your first mains, okay, that means 2 answers are gone. Most importantly, the time is also gone, the space is also gone. That means 2 questions you are getting 0. Right, that can cost you. And many of you who are writing mains for the first time this year, or many of you who will be writing mains next year as your first mains, remember to be calm, or prelims for that matter, because your execution is as important as your preparation. Okay, be very calm, because what will happen is, even in essay, see, she judged herself for essay when she wrote her first mains. How can you judge yourself? Your job is to just go and execute. Let the examiner do the job of judging you. He's being paid for it, right? You're not being paid to judge your own essay. Okay, you are sitting there wasting crucial amount of time. That means your essays are compromised. But because if you stay calm, one thing is guaranteed. Ideas will flow in your head, whether it is your essays or optionals or GS. When the ideas flow, it will give you confidence. And you will write very good answers and you will write very good essays. So remember, when you are doing your class test or when you join the test series or the course, to stay calm and implement that strategy while you are writing this exam. What happens is, what I have seen is, when you are writing these tests, you are way laid back. Okay, this is just a test. You will not have that serious conditions of writing it in an exam. So write this exam like you will actually write your mains. Practice that. Okay, and when you practice that, okay, use that experience in your actual exam. Conditions will definitely be different, but still, at least that seriousness I want you guys to have here. Okay, and also with her first mains, okay, I know that her preparation was not up to the mark. Also, she had a small accident also. She was basically limping while writing the first mains. Okay, unfortunate things. Yes, despite that also, she could have performed really well. Okay, and but she learned from her mistakes. Okay, what content wise, what was not there. Second, with respect to knowledge wise, and most importantly, the mindset. Okay, and she improved her scores. Okay, by and large in her next attempt. We had discussed after her mark sheet of first mains was out after the results of 2021. Okay, I told her she had to get 140 marks more in the next attempt to become an IAS. I think she got 120 more, and she is going to be IAS. But if she had got 140, she would be in top 10. Okay, this thing. So I told her to be in the top 10, she had to get about 140 marks. But nevertheless, okay, she is going to be IAS. But the thing here is your mindset matters a lot. Okay, and with respect to the next thing I want to talk about is, along with essay, optional is very important. Okay. And she is going to have a session tomorrow with respect to the option only. So very briefly she will mention about the optional. Others with the detail for optionals, you can attend the tomorrow's session, ma. Okay, your optional thing, ma. Because she put in a lot of hard work with her optional as well.
Yeah, my optional was Kannada literature, and I think all of you have your optionals selected by now. But please ensure that whatever optional you picked, it's a subject that you like. And for example, when I was preparing, about 50% of my time I used to invest on Kannada literature. Of course, I put in a lot of effort, but that effort seemed easy because I was in love with the subject. I enjoyed reading Kannada literature. And please don't rely upon any ready-made market notes. You can use it as a baseline, no harm in that. But please ensure you read the original books. There is no replacement for that. And just the way how it's an essay, it's your thinking that matters. Even in Kannada literature, it's about your thinking, your original thoughts that matter here also. So please ensure you read the books and you contemplate about it. And one more thing I missed about essays was the topics that FAREES sir used to pick for us while we were writing essays. From the very first test, he put us in a tough spot, forcing us to think. Like with respect to GS 1, 2, 3, it's about the sources you refer. You learn, you reproduce it. There's nothing much. There's not much of your own thinking happens. Of course, it is important, but not as much as it is with respect to essay. I still remember the first test we wrote before my second mains. The topic was sea wide allows fish to jump and sky high allows bird to fly. And I remember the faces of the people who were sitting there and writing, the 6-7 of us, everyone is confused. We don't even understand the topic. We took at least 15-20 minutes to even place what this topic could be. So that is the kind of weird, obnoxious topics sir would pick for us, because that's the kind of topics even UPSC ends up giving. So I should really thank sir for putting us on in a spot from the very beginning and pushing us to think in that direction. Thank you, sir.
Now, so as you all are aware, she is our OGP 2021 student. Okay, very briefly, ma, what is your experience as a OGP 2021, especially the online student?
I'm actually very thankful to Insights IS that way. Despite being an online student, I never really felt left out. Me and Farees sir used to have sessions every week, and towards even after my course was over, of course, by 21 prelims, your course is over, right? So even after the course was over, sir never stopped being my mentor. The next 1 year, for my second attempt also, sir was constantly there for me, and even all the other teachers. I used to always keep thinking, I know all these teachers, but none of them know me, and finally I feel, okay, now even the teachers know me. To me, they were all like celebrities. I used to watch them on screen. So I was like, oh, this teacher is telling this faculty is telling this. And the best part about Insights is they tell you where they went wrong, and often we have this misconception that, okay, teachers just teach that subject. That's not really true. They actually know much more about UPSC preparation itself, and when a person who's written this exam is telling you something that's out of their experience that they're telling. There might be an economy expert or political science expert teaching you polity, but you'll still not learn it as well as when it comes from a person who's actually gone through this UPSC journey themselves. And the best part of Insights faculty is all of them are humble and down to earth. You don't see, I've seen a couple of other videos on YouTube also where teachers themselves have an air of authority or a little bit of arrogance in some ways, but in Insights faculties, starting from the very founder Vinay sir, you don't see that. They're all very down to earth, and they try to be as helpful to you as possible. And it's not even about, okay, whether are you a student now. And in fact, Farees sir has even guided some of my friends who were at first not students of Insights, but just to get guidance from Farees sir, they would subscribe to some or the other course at Insights, so that they feel they're credible enough to get some feedback from Farees sir.
Whatever we are today, okay, our humbleness or humility or hard work, dedication comes from our founder and director Vinay sir. Okay, that is his vision, that is his principles and values, and we also, align towards it. We also like it, and we also make it our point that we follow that as well. Okay, and coming to the topic of Vinay sir, okay, with respect to his contributions to founding Insights, and now his contributions with respect to guiding thousands of aspirants clear this exam, especially with respect to their essays as well. Okay, whatever I learned the essays, initially he was there to handhold me, okay, before I adapted my own techniques. And then with respect to his interview, okay, I don't think there is anybody in the country to have that level of authority over guiding people with respect to the interview. Okay, now I'll before I can ask Damini to share her interview experience. Okay, I just want to tell you, the thing. As an aspirant, I think I've told in my ancient and medieval class, what I missed was the guidance. Okay, I did not have anybody to tell to write an answer or to give feedback on the essay or to write a test. I wasted one attempt like that only. I had given very bare minimal of tests, studied some India yearbook and all, by hearted that 500-page book because somebody misguided me. Okay, I did not have a mentor per se to hold my hand and direct, okay, this is how you write an essay, this is how you write an answer. It was based on that, it was self-learning. In that one attempt was gone. By second attempt, when I got at least some amount of confidence, one attempt was already over. And that time we all used to go to Delhi to prepare, and as I always tell, in Delhi, it is easier to find God than to find the faculty who is teaching you. You will get appointment with God, but rather than getting a faculty's appointment, because they are way too busy, or I think they pretend to be way too busy, and they have that aura, or that they are UPSC faculty. Who is a UPSC faculty? Right? A person who could not clear UPSC, like me, right? As simple as that. So why be so arrogant about that? Like, you are as good or as bad as anybody. Okay, so that brings us to a very interesting aspect, which I am really looking forward. Dhamini's interview experience, her interview preparation. Briefly about your DAF and your various aspects of interview preparation, Damini.
Yes, like in all other stages, interview preparation also, it was Farees sir that mainly guided me. We used to have, in our small group of 6 to 7 people, we used to only become board members when the other person is giving mock interviews, and we used to take mock interviews for each other, and we used to go into that feel of being a UPSC member while taking mock interviews for others. So even with respect to my DAF, even finalizing my DAF, Farees sir helped me. I had a huge list of hobbies, because I didn't have any particular hobby as such. I had a huge list of hobbies like cooking, teaching, everything. So Farees sir helped me streamline it and make it more sensible. So I used to enjoy learning about quantum computing, and I used to like reading Kannada novels, and also more like a coping mechanism, I used to listen to devotional musics. I think having been in UPSC journey, you know how important that is. So when I mentioned my long list of maybe 10, 12 possible hobbies, Farees sir helped me narrow it down to these 3 that I can put it up on my DAF. And again, immediately after mains was over, Farees sir didn't even wait for our results. He started taking mock interviews and helping us with the DAF, etc. Because after the results come out, you just have 1 week to fill out your DAF too. So it's very difficult to narrow down all your options and decide which is your strength, which is your weakness. So with that, Farees sir and Vinay sir, both of them helped me, and even with respect to mock interviews, I've given a lot of one-on-one mocks with Farees sir, a couple of one-on-one mocks with Vinay sir, and I should have just probably stopped there after giving mocks with Farees sir and Vinay sir. I made a mistake of going and giving a mock with one coaching center here only in Bangalore, and the feedback I got there was out of a panel of 4, 3 members gave me sufficiently good feedback, but one member was like, he was like, you don't seem to know anything, your head seems to be quite hollow, you look like one Alankara Vidyarthini who doesn't have anything inside her head, who just roams around with books, and he's like, you read the newspaper, you probably read the entertainment section or something. I think unfortunately sir hadn't opened the Hindu to know that there's no entertainment section in the Hindu. So I was actually really flustered after that experience. I almost came out crying from that interview. Then I called Farees sir. He's like, no, that is so not true. And he's like, okay, come, we'll talk about it. And then again, I ended up giving a couple of mocks with Farees sir, Vinay sir, and KSG Khan sir. So only after that, my confidence again came back. Farees sir even now tells, you were much better off in your very first mock interview before you gave all these other mock interviews. So yeah, that happens. So please don't take anyone's feedback so seriously also, unless that person has seen you throughout this journey. I was only conscious, I only gave this other mock interview also thinking, probably Farees sir has guided me throughout. He might have a bias towards me and might give me good feedback. So I just wanted to test, and it didn't turn out very well. With respect to interview, the good experiences that I had was with Insights, Vajirao and Reddy, and with KSG. So bad experiences, yeah, a couple of others.
Yes, her confidence was skyrocket when we started the interview program. Okay, Vinay sir, I was speaking to him and he was like, she's going to get very good marks in the interview. That obviously I did not tell her that because I didn't want her to be overconfident. But then suddenly one bad feedback, okay, the two not genuine, okay, it's not even a genuine feedback. I mean, you cannot tell anybody that you have a hollow head, okay, especially for a person who has cleared the mains, okay, and you will not believe the same person is calling her after she cleared and asking for an interview with her, right? So happens, when you are an aspirant, nobody asks you, and once you are a ranker, everybody wants to claim credit for your success. So just in case, remember those who are giving mains, okay, give mocks only where there is a credibility, okay, and just because they have calling lot of IAS officers or IPS officers or IFS officers or panel doesn't mean that they are a good judge of your caliber, okay, and she got a very good score of 182 in her interview for this year, okay, and that's like a very good score as well in the interview. So that was her journey, okay. She started off with a very high confidence, suddenly it went to 0, and then Vinay sir helped her get her back to this, and she got a very good score. Okay, coming to this last aspect, Damini, you could not clear it in the first attempt, okay, though you had prepared very well and you hoped and you wrote your first mains, though you are not prepared. How did you deal with that setback, okay, or the minor setbacks that you used to get in either in the mock tests or in the actual exam? So what was your way of coping up with those setbacks?
I think when you're in UPSC, I should consider myself fortunate that the one major setback that I felt was my first mains. But when you're in UPSC journey, I've seen my own friends who've not been able to clear prelims for first 2-3 attempts and then writing mains and going all the way up to interview stage. So setbacks is a common thing when it comes to UPSC preparation, be it in your test series or it could be one negative feedback from your test series or a really pathetic score in your prelims tests, putting all your confidence down and making you feel like, okay, I'm not even going to make it through prelims and even write mains. So I think family support and friend support actually matters a lot here. I personally had isolated myself from everyone pretty much during this preparation. But the few people that were around me were the supportive ones. My parents, my friends, and of course FAREES sir. In any bad test, anything that went wrong, I used to always just call FAREES sir and he would console me and tell me that no, it just made me feel that whenever I felt I'm pathetic, I'd call FAREES sir to ensure that I don't feel I'm that pathetic. And like I told, my hobby was listening to devotional songs. So you can either listen to devotional songs or some patho song, go into that patho mood, enjoy that pathoness, enjoy that sadness, learn to enjoy that sadness. It'll be even better for you that way. And yeah, setbacks are natural. Please don't be afraid of it. Please don't be put down by it. You're right. And to be very honest, there is some factor of luck involved in UPSC. For example, I can't draw right now. If there is one circle of all hardworking people, there is a smaller circle with that luck factor also included who make it into the list. There are so many other people who worked hard enough but still are not into the list. But never will that circle of luck move out to the zone where there are no hard workers. So please ensure that you do your hard work, and by God's grace, if that luck factor also comes into your aid, you'll be able to make it into the list. Even otherwise, you'll be a much better person at the end of the UPSC journey than you were at the start of it. I remember the 2020 version of myself. I used to be short-tempered, I used to talk whatever that came to my mind. I used to be a pretty clumsy version of myself. Not that I'm not clumsy anymore, but it's reduced to a greater extent. And it's not just about the knowledge that you gain. When you're facing setbacks and when you're overcoming that, it gives you a kind of perseverance and strength also, which helps you later in life, be it as an officer or as anything else. So please don't be afraid of setbacks and keep only people who genuinely wish you well around you. And you can get a lot of mentors on the street, in chai shops, in bookstores. Please don't rely upon those mentors and guides. Please take the help of genuine guides like Vinay sir or FAREES sir, who can actually help you through this journey.
UPSC breaks a lot of people's tempers and make them a calm and zen mode kind of people, okay, including me. Alright, so you'll be a very angry young man or a woman, okay, you give one attempt, after that your temper, everything is go, you start meditating, you start listening to devotional music, right, it humbles you, like even the ego part, you may think you may from IIT background, gold medalist in graduation, you come, you give first insight test, out of 250 you are getting 30, 40, ego is neutralized, give first prelims, CSAT gone, but IIT graduate, all the ego is natural. So UPSC is a great equalizer per se, okay. So this was Damini's journey, but yeah, remember having good set of friends, okay, though as I always say, those who pull you up, okay, those who get the best of yourself, you know, you are not studying today, they'll be like, no, today you are not studying, you should supposed to study, you're feeling little bit of stress, they'll talk you for 2 minutes and you feel little bit better, because yeah, feeling stress, feeling little bit of anxious, it's quite common, but you need to have those people around you who will lift your spirits, okay, that will once in a while, and will push you to be the better version of yourself, not the ones who will like, you know, let's go to a movie, let's go to a park. I'm not saying don't take breaks, do that when you are taking a break, but take a break after studying for a long period of time. Do not study during the breaks, okay, which is like a lot of people do, okay. They'll take break from the recreation and then they study for 1 or 2 days and then back to, you know, recreation and hanging around, spending 3 hours in a coffee shop. No, it doesn't matter. Drink coffee for 5 minutes, 10 minutes and make that time as a productive time. If you have a good friends, you can ask each other question. You are studying a topic, a current affairs question or a static question, whatever it is, you quiz each around. That's how you make most of the time, okay. Everything can be a productive time if you wishes so, and Damini is the best example for that. For her, I have not seen her being unproductive at all. The only time I felt she lost time was when she was stressing about some things, okay, which At that point of time, she may have felt that it was impossible. Now it will all look like a funny memory for you, all the stress and all the setbacks of that point of time. So try to be as efficient as possible. Okay, you heard from herself. Okay, and be detached. Okay, one way of eliminating fear is being detached, and she is an example. First attempt, first mains. In essay paper, she is worried about GS1. Forget about being worried about GS1. You should not even be worried about the next essay, the next topic that you will write. When you are in the topic, that same answer. Same with GS1. When you are writing GS1, one question, do not think what is question number 2 or question number 3 or question number 20. Be in that question, be in the present. Do not worry, okay, you are writing GS4, but you are worrying, okay, I have not prepared optional. So much is there. Why? If you are too much attached to what will come next or the outcome, whether I will clear or no, that will bring in a lot of stress, lot of unnecessary anxiety. One way of countering all the stress, all the anxiety is by detaching yourself with the outcome. See, be of the opinion that you will clear, hope for the best, but you will be like, whatever the outcome it is there, I will accept it. But you are getting a lot of knowledge, you are studying a various amount of subjects which nobody else does. History, economy, polity, society, ethics, essay writing. Okay, so just think of it like you are gaining knowledge. Right? If you are like, what if I write a lot of essays and do not clear? You developed a skill of essay writing. Yes, there is a chance that, that luck factor is there. I totally agree. But if you worry too much about the luck factor, you'll sacrifice your preparation for that. See, worry about the things that are under your control. Things under your control are your efforts. Luck factor is not under your control. Which board you will get in the interview is not under your control. Let's not talk about that. Okay, so the thing is, which board you will get, it's not under your control. Or anything, which exam you may get. Okay, your favorite subject, maybe one. What if no questions comes from that in prelims? Or very 1 or 2 questions come? That subject you hate most, like ancient and medieval, no, they give a lot of questions. Right. So, quite possible, right? So, that is not under our control. Our control is to prepare and give our best wisely, with proper, not depending on one or the other subject, wise preparation. Remaining rest, leave it up to the God. If worst case nothing works out, be of the belief that you will do something good in life. If that belief, whether as an IAS officer or an IPS officer or in corporate sector or anything, be of the belief that you have enough capability to do good in life and do good to others. That much attitude is enough. Don't worry too much about the outcome. Detach yourself from the outcome. Everybody who is writing the exam, 99% of them do not clear. I am one example. Okay, but still that belief of doing good. Okay, yeah, little bit of sadness will be there, like, it did not happen, you wish to serve the country. No, there are other ways of serving the country, right? So do that, okay, and that will take away majority of your stress and anxiety if you detach yourself from the outcome. Easier said than done, right, Damini? Yeah, you have to practice it from now, whether you are giving this mains or next mains. Detach yourself from the outcome. Okay, now I am done with the questions. So any of you who have the doubts, okay, I'll hand over the mic to Damini. So anything with respect to whatever we have discussed or anything with respect to UPSC, okay, kindly ask your doubts and she will answer them. Online students also, those who have joined us online, so kindly the queries that you have which you want Damini to answer, so post your in the comment box. Okay, I'll ask Damini to answer them as well. So yes. Who is asking? No doubts? Okay. Yeah, online will sir. No, okay, so it will take time. Nobody has a question? No.
It's okay, you don't have to think, okay, if I ask this question, it's going to be silly. All questions are silly. I've asked really silly questions. So it's okay. At the start, I didn't even know what I didn't know. So you. The interview experience is actually very good. It's completely unlike any of the mock interviews that you get here. Mock interviews, I always felt like I was being thrown questions and I was put on the spot. But the actual interview, it seemed more like a friendly conversation, a formal one though, but more like a conversation. You answer and they ask, based on your answer, they ask other questions, and The board members are absolutely cordial. There is nothing to be afraid of. There is nothing to be scared of. And if anything, I've made the most. So yeah, I was actually very conscious, and I actually made a lot of rookie mistakes too when I went in. The board member, this sir, asked me to just sit back and relax, and I was so anxious that I actually went and sat back in my chair before he completed the statement. So a lot of coaching centers focus on the way you stand, the way you sit, but I think more than that, it's about whether how you present yourself on that day. Just be humble. You don't have to have arrogance because they're already where you wish to be. So don't be arrogant, and you don't even have to be underconfident. You don't have to be scared. Just be humble and confident, and that should do. Anyone else? Yeah, that's actually around my first attempt. I hadn't made sufficient notes. That was a bit of a problem. Do make notes, because all the material, and please understand, there is no good or bad material. Just get your hands on some material, be it your insights class notes or some other material. Just ask one or two people, and if you feel something is good enough, take that. And if for example, in Lakshmikant and all, it doesn't make sense to make notes out of it. Lakshmikant spectrum and all, you can just underline it over there. With respect to other subjects, please do make notes. On the Insights website, you can find my complete source list and the strategy for it. So please have, especially these peripheral topics which we don't read for mains, please ensure that all your syllabus is completed before prelims. Don't keep anything pending between prelims to mains. Prelims to mains should just be revision and writing those tests. So with respect to notes, whatever material that you're using, based on, and also please refer to previous year questions while making notes. You don't have to make notes on everything. Usually material from some coaching centers, it's very bulky. It has unwanted, too many topics which are not really necessary. So please refer to previous year questions, and based on that make notes. And if possible, try to make model answers for previous year questions, be it your optional or GS.
NCRTs, importance of NCRTs.
NCRTs are certainly very important, particularly for geography, because geography I didn't refer to anything else other than NCRTs and maybe a little bit of GC Leong. And for science and technology, despite being a person from engineering background, I again went back to 6th standard to 10th standard NCRTs, and you don't have to learn it completely. Just make 2 or 3 pages of notes out of it, because UPSC has this tendency to ask some little known facts or use synonyms for the same word. So all these you can find it in the NCRTs. And again, searching for another 1000-page material for it doesn't make sense. NCRTs are lucid, it's easy to learn, so it's really beneficial. Please ensure that you read your NCRTs. Again, for polity, I think 9th and 10th standard NCRTs, the Constitution at Work, that's one book, and the Philosophy of Constitution or something, pink color book. For geography, for history also, NCRTs can be very helpful, because a lot of these ancient medieval terms, etc. you can find it in your NCRTs. And again, yeah, for science and tech. So for these, NCRTs are pretty important. History, yes. For ancient and medieval and art and culture, I only used class notes, FAREES sir's notes and Yashasvi sir's notes for art and culture, because these subjects are really vast. If you start delving into the sources, it's very difficult to shorten it and to be able to revise it during exams. I also refer to, again, NCRTs, RPAS 1, 2, 3 for all ancient, medieval and modern India. And for modern India, I used Spectrum. Spectrum, you'll have to read it a couple of times. What I did was, at the back of the Spectrum, you have a list of viceroys and governor generals, right? So what I did, I created something like a mind palace across my house. My house gate would be Warren Hastings, and and the pillar there would be Wellesley. So based on each, and in that only you have a list of what all events happened during that person's period. So you just go on placing that in a mind palace. It will take a lot of time. Initially it took me 3-4 hours to even create that, but once that is done, your chronology is set, and you'll know exactly at which period, in whose period which event happened. So you can it can really help you eliminate stuff, especially in prelims. It can be very helpful creating something like this. And also I created a lot of maps for history, ancient medieval, art and culture, and modern India. Be it the temples, Gandhara temples, Gandhara architecture, or Nagara temples, Dravida temples. So I used to create a lot of maps so that it would be easier for me to revise. And for me personally, spatial memory works better. Like, okay, this side of the page I saw this, I'll be able to recollect it better. So I used a lot of maps for revising content for history. This is actually pretty important. I used to use quite a few, but don't overload it with quotes, because you're trying to explain something and you again go on putting too many quotes. It doesn't make sense. Maybe you can use 1 or 2 famous impactful quotes, and preferably in the introduction or conclusion. In between also you can use nothing wrong, but it gives more impact when you use it in the introduction or conclusion. And I did have a list of quotes that I would time and again just revisit and try to remember. But if you don't use it enough number of times in your answers or in your essays, it doesn't come back to you that easily. But yeah, quotes are very important. Even in, just have a collection of quotes that you connect with. Don't by heart those quotes just for the sake of it. You'll not be able to place it in the right position otherwise. Having a collection of quotes can help you with ethics also. Current affairs is one thing I was always scared about. From day one till date, I'm scared of current affairs. But my only source throughout was the Hindu newspaper. Initially I used to take around 2.5 hours. Later I was able to come down to 1 hour or so. You don't have to read all these political issues or anything. And even regional issues for that matter, it doesn't matter, because everyone won't have access to that region's news, right? So it's mainly the first page, and then the editorial. I know most people recommend reading editorial, but I had a tough time reading editorial. I used to start reading the first paragraph. By the time I was in the last paragraph, either I would not know what exactly was happening, or I would have fallen asleep in the middle. So reading editorial was a tough task for me. That doesn't mean you shouldn't read. If you're able to read it, please do read. It can help you formulate opinions. And after that, after the editorial page, you get those 2-3 pages, right? That is what actually matters more. And even the IR, every day there will be an update. There is a meet going on. Okay, today they arrived. Today they had lunch. So please don't go into details of all that. Just know what is mainly happening. And sports section is something I was not reading because I was not that into sports. And that did have an impact in my 21 prelims, but it's okay. That'll just be 1 or 2 questions. You won't be able to possibly learn sports as a subject itself. So whatever you find interesting, you can read other than the main parts. So, and in addition to it, I never used any monthly magazines. I used to find them too bulky. 200 pages, it was very difficult for me to memorize them. For me, understanding concepts is easier, but memorizing facts is very difficult. So I never took any of these 200-300 page magazines and tried to learn from that. But I did refer to Insight's daily current affairs. It would take hardly 15 minutes or 20 minutes per day. So I used to read that. Sometimes it would be a repetition of the events in the newspaper, but it would still be helpful because it would be more like a revision. And you can also try answering those MCQs that you get on Insight's website. The static and the current affairs questions. So you'll at least sometimes you get 0 out of 5, but it's okay. Just keep practicing so that you'll just stay in touch with what's happening. That's all that matters. And looking at a few previous year questions like banana plant or some butterfly, don't go into doing research on that.
Last 2 questions. Ethics strategy.
Ethics, with respect to ethics, again, with ethics and essay, what is necessary is contemplating, thinking on your own. And I think all of us use enough social media and a lot of memes when we're sad and sad statuses to know that much philosophy. So whatever you do, then please try to do that with respect to your ethics concepts. Try to think about it, if it's integrity, if it's probity, honesty. Try to sit and contemplate about it. Try to sit and bring up your own definition to it. For example, what is happiness to you? There has been a question in the previous year questions also. So try to answer the previous year ethics questions, be it case studies or section A. And with respect to section A, try to make notes on all the keywords that have appeared in the syllabus or in the previous year questions, and try to give examples for that from different angles, 4-5 examples. Around my first attempt, that is where I faltered. I didn't have enough examples for ethics. I used to think a lot and write philosophical definitions and all that, but I didn't have enough examples. So please focus on that too.
All right, her detailed strategy with sources which and all she referred for GS1, 2, 3 and 4 prelims, etc., okay, will be uploading, I think uploaded or will be uploaded on the website, okay, that she has written a testimonial. So her revision plan, everything, her mark sheet of 2021 mains as well as her 2022 mark sheet will be uploaded on the website if it has not been uploaded. All right, so almost at the final lap of the session, okay. I'm not a big believer in bouquets or shawls, okay. I find it's just a waste of money or time, okay. So just a small token of my appreciation for Damini, okay. I believe in sharing knowledge, okay, and a book for Damini for her to read. She's a voracious reader like me, okay. I like reading and she is also a voracious reader. She has read a lot of books, a lot of novels, and yes, one way of improving your essays is by reading a lot, okay. Those who are reading a lot will get new ideas, new perspectives, etc. naturally, okay, naturally. And one of the reasons why her essays are so strong is because of that, okay. On a final note, I would first of all like to thank Damini for coming all the way here from her village and enlightening us with her strategy and everything. And I would also like to thank Vinay sir for allowing me to launch the Essay Edge course. Also, I would like to thank the people who are not seen, okay. We faculties, we come here, we talk, we give the lecture and we go away. But there are people who are working behind the scenes, okay, to ensure that this courses, your classes, your tests are happening seamlessly. Starting with the course team, okay, comprising of Manasa ma'am, Urmila ma'am, Shreya ma'am and Meghana ma'am, who ensure that everything is there on time, your tests, your classes, your timetable, everything is communicated to you. And then we have the people who are there in the classroom itself, okay. They come much before us, okay, and they stay long after we are gone. The course coordinators here like Manu, okay, Yamunur, Raghu, Rakesh, okay, these people work tirelessly behind the scenes. We may come and we may show our face, but these are the people who often put in that hard work that is needed. Okay, and we have our editing team. Bharat, he himself is a very good editor on YouTube. This video which will go on YouTube after the live session, he will only edit it. Okay, there is a graphic designer Rohit who works tirelessly, and the content team, okay, who work tirelessly. I'm really grateful for Suresh sir, he is a part of our content team, for pushing me to start this Essay Edge course. My fellow faculties, Sudeep sir, Manjunath sir, Kailash sir and Suhas sir, who have helped me in various aspects, and all my colleagues at Insights IAS, okay. Last but not the least, I thank you all for coming here, both offline and online, for your valuable time and efforts. I hope you learned something, okay, at least something, if not to generate a core argument. And we'll be launching with the Essay Edge course on 15th and 16th, and upon many requests I am extending the early bird offer of 10% discount, okay, because many people were like, we want the extension, okay, so that will be uploaded on the group, okay, so you have that 10% discount. All right, so before we can part, so we'll take a picture with Damini, okay, we'll that side, okay, we'll take a picture with her, okay, for memory purposes, all right, and then we can end the session.